Bitran swallowed. Jason suddenly felt an inexplicable force coming from his body. Everyone suddenly felt light and almost floating. After doing all this, Jason had time to look around. Jason was currently in an open space in a continuous jungle. The lush green land was shrouded in a thin blue mist that was white, cloud-like and mist-like. And because the mist was not too thick, therefore, the impact on people's sight is not too great, and they can still see quite far away. Within a radius of nearly a kilometer around Jason, there were scattered groups of people, who were the same people who entered the secret realm before Jason. Puff, puff, at the same time, there was a slight landing sound beside and behind Jason, but it was the spiritual masters following Jason who also entered the secret realm. These spiritual masters in the open space, those who have been here before have a faint expression of excitement on their faces, while those who have been here in the future have mostly shocked faces. Spiritual elements. Such rich spiritual elements. The spiritual elements in front are about to liquefy into mist. Yeah, it's amazing. Exclamations came from many people, but Jason's eyes fell on an old man not far away. There. Cohen Hill was looking over with a cold look. Haha, brat, your death day has come. Let's see who can help you this time. Today next year will be your Memorial Day. A wild laughter burst out from your mouth. Whoosh. He rose into the sky and was not in a hurry to take action. In this secret realm of the spirit pool, no one can stop him, and he is fearless. Many people who originally appeared next to Jason after entering the secret realm retreated in fear. This boy is finished. What an idiot. For the sake of the Blood Abyss spiritual pond, I dared to come in after offending such a powerful enemy. I really risked my life. Everyone in the crowd focused their attention on Cornhill and Jason. Yesterday's conflict between the two of them was seen by everyone present. If it were them, they would not know it. After learning if their powerful enemies wanted to enter the secret realm of the spirit pond, they would have given up on entering the secret realm of the spirit pond long ago, so they were extremely disdainful of Jason's actions. Not far away, Tonzon looked at Thorson worriedly, although deep down he wanted to help Jason. But he didn't move, and he didn't dare to move. With Cornhill's temper, as long as he steps forward, he will definitely kill him too without any mercy. Jason's eyes showed a trace of fear, and then he ran wildly into the mountains and forests. Want to escape? A sneer appeared on Cornhill's face, and a golden light shone on the long sword in his hand. He quickly condensed his body before slashing, aiming at Jason and slashing at him. He did not use all his strength in this blow. He wanted to play with Jason, and then in the other's frightened and desperate eyes, he struck him again. Give him a kill. After seeing Cornhill take action, Jason's eyes suddenly lit up. Mountain peak. Several rays of lightning suddenly flashed behind Jason, forming a lightning wing. The whole person was like a rocket taking off, shooting towards the distant mountains and forests. The speed was so fast that it flew nearly a kilometer away in an instant. Poison. Cornhill's attack immediately failed, creating a ravine more than 10 meters long on the ground. What happened? This is flying skills. Cornhill was stunned for a moment. When he came to his senses, Jason had almost disappeared into the light mist. You brat, where are you going? Cornhill let out an angry roar, and the whole moment turned into a golden stream of light, flying towards Jason. However, what made Cornhill feel incredible was that instead of getting closer, the distance between him and Jason was actually getting farther and farther. Impossible, Cornhill cried out in horror. He is a genuine Imperial Spirit Master, who can communicate with the spiritual power of heaven and earth to fly. How could he not be able to catch up with someone who uses flying spiritual skills? However, the fact made him almost crazy. Die. Cornhill suddenly stopped, and the golden light gathered on the long sword in his hand, forming a golden sword light, and then aimed at Jason and swept away like lightning. Boom! Jean May rushed behind Jason in an instant, and a huge explosion sounded in the distance. However, Jason's figure only shook, and then quickly disappeared from Cornhill's sight. "Cornhill, just wait, Jess, will take your head and fill it up." In the distance, a rumble sounded over the entire mountain forest, extremely firm. "I'm dead." Cornhill looked up to the sky and roared, extremely angry, "You little bastard, son, I will cut you into pieces." Bottom, in the open space in the mountain forest, everyone who entered the secret realm of Lingqi stared blankly at this sudden scene, their faces full of astonishment and shock. This Jace, all the spiritual masters who had previously believed that Jason must die were now looking at each other with disbelief on their faces. "Cornhill, who's that?" The entire Chi'er province is a famous imperial spiritual master. Almost all the younger generation in Chi'er province have heard of masters like him. Even the elders of their father's generation may not be this Cornhill opponent. In their hearts, Jason, who is extremely young and looks to be only about 20 years old, no matter how talented he is, will not have any ability to resist in front of Cornhill, but what happened before was completely beyond their imagination. Tanzanian, who knew Jason, was completely stunned. Jace is actually such a powerful master. I actually had a nice chat with him yesterday and commented on the young masters here. It's really Tanzan shook his head and seemed extremely emotional. At such an age, he had reached as a 5th-level intermediate sect spirit master. He thought that his strength was considered a master among the younger generation, but now compared with Jason, he was nothing. That's what you call a master, and that's what you call hiding something. A wry smile appeared on Tanzan's face. The other people in the open space were also talking a lot, with surprise and shock in their eyes. "Humph, this kid, next time I see him, I will make his life worse than death." In the sky, Cornhill said angrily, then looked at the people in the open space, turned into a golden light, and disappeared in the sky. In everyone's sight. The purpose of his trip was the Blood Abyss spiritual pond. With his status and strength, he naturally did not want to stay with the juniors below. That kid is pretty good. He was able to escape from Cornhill's hands. It's amazing. It's amazing. In the crowd, a gorgeous young man in his 20s looked in the direction of Jason, his face full of approval, but his eyes revealed there was an unyielding and triumphant light. "Brother, although that boy is powerful, I think he only relies on his flying skills. He can't compare with you at all. Brother, you are the #1 genius in our Chi'er province." A girl on the side couldn't help but mumble. Mouth said loudly. This young man is the son of Eludiba, who is known as the #1 genius in Chi'er province. At the age of 23, he is Kiros, a 6th-level low-level spiritual master. You don't understand. The young man shook his head. Although flying spiritual skills are powerful, the speed of ordinary flying spiritual skills is not as fast as that of the Imperial Spirit Master. Moreover, Cornhill also released an attack before, which obviously hit the boy, but the boy did not fall. Being able to withstand the attack of a 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master is definitely not something that ordinary people can do. You must know that even a 6th-level Senior Spiritual Master has no possibility of escaping when facing a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master. The young man who was able to escape from Cornhill earlier had more than just a flying spirit. Because of technology. "Let's go." The young man said calmly, and 2 young men, a boy and a girl, and a middle-aged man immediately followed him and walked deeper into the forest. Down below, the other spiritual masters were not in a hurry to set off, but instead formed partners with each other. There are many dangers in the secret realm of Lingqi. These people all know something about it and have already contacted each other when they were outside. If a group of people go together, the probability of survival will definitely be much higher. The whispers circulated for a while, and everyone dispersed either alone or in groups, and then went deep into the forest. According to the oral accounts of the older generation, the Blood Abyss Spirit Pool is located on a mountain peak deep in the forest. In this place, maps are useless, and everyone can only rely on luck and search slowly forward. As the crowd dispersed, the quiet mountain forest gradually became lively, like a group of fish being thrown into the quiet lake, causing ripples, making the silent mountain forest full of vitality. Got up. Of course, under this vitality, there is still a crisis that is difficult to conceal, but the so-called crisis always coexists with the harvest. There are many spirit beasts in the secret realm of the spirit pool. In addition, the spirit element is extremely rich, and there is no shortage of some rare heavenly materials and earthly treasures. If you are lucky enough to find it, even if you don't enter the deepest blood abyss spiritual pool, you can still make a lot of money. Even if you are in a bad situation and don't dare to go deep for fear of encountering danger, practicing in the forest on the edge of this clearing for a period of time will be quite beneficial to your future growth. In general, although the Lingqi secret realm is dangerous, it can still be regarded as a treasure mountain. As long as you have enough luck and strength, it is not difficult to return with a full load. Lingqi secret realm is in a corner deep in the mountains and forests. Qi, a subtle sound broke through the air, and a black figure suddenly fell from the sky and fell into the forest. Ahem. The black figure couldn't help coughing twice, and a trace of blood slipped quietly from the corner of his mouth. However, he was completely unaware of it. His shining eyes looked around vigilantly. After not sensing any danger, this is sitting cross-legged under a big tree. This cornhill is indeed worthy of being a 7th-level imperial spiritual master. The figure said with a wry smile on his face, took out a bottle of healing potion from his body, and then drank it in one gulp. This figure is none other than Jason, who escaped from Cornhill. The first time he entered the secret realm of the spirit pond, Jason drank a bottle of low-grade 6th-grade wind chi potion. When he encountered the iron-backed sword mantis in the cloud and mist swamp, Jason, who had taken the swift wind potion, cast lightning thunder. The wings are just a bit faster than some 7th-level low-level imperial spirit masters who are not good at speed. Nowadays, Jason's strength is much stronger than that then. In addition, the effect of the 6th-level low-grade wind chi potion is much stronger than that of the swift wind potion. Although the metal spiritual master is extremely powerful in terms of speed among many attributes. Yes, but with the addition of the wind chi potion, Jason's speed was suddenly much faster than that of Cornhill. However, the last attack released by Cornhill still seriously injured Jason. On Jason's chest, there was a scar nearly a foot long and several inches deep. The skin and flesh were turned out, but the bleeding had stopped. As a gold elemental imperial spiritual master, Cornhill's attacks were extremely sharp and powerful. When the sword light was about to hit Jason, Jason had already used the elemental barrier of the gold element to disperse most of the sword light. Despite its power, the sword light broke through its own defense. Placed the black heavy sword on his knees, Jason closed his eyes, and the powerful and rich energy of the 6th-level healing potion was emitted, constantly nourishing Jason's injured body, and at the same time, the strange black the force also started to work, quickly healing Jason's wounds. I don't know how long it took, but Jason's eyes that had been closed finally opened. He exhaled a long breath. After the previous treatment, although the injuries in his body were not completely healed, they were basically healed. Even the terrifying wound on his chest was healed at this moment. Healed. When it comes to healing abilities, Jason's body is definitely terrifying. Jason stood up, but his eyes began to patrol the mountain forest. He didn't dare to stop before, and flew for at least hundreds of kilometers before finding a place to stop. He had never been to the secret realm of the spirit pool, and he didn't know where he was at the moment. However, Jason could feel that in the northeast, there were waves of subtle and special spiritual power fluctuations. The secret realm of Spirit Pond will be open for 3 months. All those who enter the secret realm must return to the open space within 3 months. Behind the open space, about a month later, there will be a spiritual power tidal exit like the entrance. Up here, as long as you enter the exit, you can return to the foot of Lingqi Peak when you entered. The direction of the faint spiritual power fluctuation is where the clearing is. Every spiritual master who enters the secret realm of the spiritual pool can always feel this special spiritual power fluctuation. And if you can't return to the open space where you came from within 3 months, you can only stay in this secret realm forever, unless you wait until the secret realm of Lingqi is opened again 10 years later. Don't think this is a good thing. This secret realm of the spirit pool is filled with a large number of terrifying spirit beasts. Even an 8th level Emperor spiritual master cannot live in this secret realm of the spirit pool for 10 years. Although the Mori family has won 2 places in the secret realm of the spirit pond, Kester also entered the secret realm of the spirit pond when he was young, but he has never reached the Blood Abyss spirit pond. Therefore, for the Blood Abyss spirit pond, Jason only knew that it was in the depths of the mountain forest, but he didn't know exactly where it was. But none of this troubled Jason. If there really is a Blood Abyss spiritual pond deep in the mountain forest that can condense strange energy, it would naturally require an unusually large amount of pure energy to do it. In other words, this Blood Abyss spiritual pond must be located deep in the mountain forest where the energy is extremely rich. Place. The fog spread in the mountain forest, and Jason's spiritual consciousness radiated like a radar, carefully sensing any meaningful spiritual fluctuations around him. As a spiritual medicine master, Jason can be said to be much more delicate than ordinary people in terms of the sensitivity of spiritual perception. All the movement of spiritual elements around him was introduced into Jason's perception in detail. The west? After a moment, Jason's closed eyes suddenly opened, and his gaze suddenly turned to the northern sky. In his perception, there was an inexplicable and powerful spiritual power fluctuation in that direction. After finding the right direction, the lightning wings behind Jason immediately stretched out, but instead of flying into the sky, they shot lightning like lightning towards the north in the mountain forest. Along the way, Jason discovered several spiritual beasts walking in the mountain forest. After seeing Jason, they all roared and rushed over. However, Jason, who had the flying skill, killed those spiritual beasts in an instant. Left behind. After flying at such a rapid low altitude for about half a day, Jason retracted his lightning wings and flew carefully through the mountains and forests. Even his own spiritual power fluctuations were completely restrained. As we gradually enter the depths of the mountain forest, the strength of the spiritual beasts appearing in the mountain forest becomes stronger and stronger. If we continue to move forward so unscrupulously, we will definitely attract those spiritual beasts. Although Jason is not afraid, but I don't want to waste time on this. I don't know how long it took, but suddenly, the energy in front of me suddenly became thicker. Jason jumped up to the treetops and looked forward. At this sight, Jason's eyes suddenly widened and he was suddenly stunned. Not far from Jason's eyes, a dark red mountain stands there. The clouds and mist around the mountain are misty. Just looking at it gives people a sense of the inexplicable sense of oppression, makes people feel extremely insignificant. Is this the Red Crystal Mountain, Blood Abyss Mountain that Loken mentioned? The legendary Blood Abyss spiritual pond should be on this mountain. Jason's eyes showed a trace of unconcealable excitement, and he murmured in his mouth. Whoosh! His whole body instantly turned into a black afterimage, flying towards the dark red crystal mountain at high speed. Although at this moment, Jason's heart was filled with incomparable emotions. Excited, but he became more cautious. All his auras converged, and the spiritual power in his body also stopped operating. During the flight, he all relied on the power of his powerful body, the so-called running to death at the peak of the mountain. Even though the dark red mountain seemed to be right in front of him, it still took Jason nearly 2 hours to reach the foot of the mountain. On the way, Jason was almost discovered by 2 powerful spiritual beasts, but fortunately he was completely relying on the power of his body to fly without releasing any spiritual energy fluctuations, so he was not discovered. This is a dark red mountain. Just standing at the foot of the mountain, Jason can feel that the entire mountain they were all faintly emitting some kind of powerful spiritual energy fluctuations. This is Jason's palms caressed the dark red rock, and his eyes suddenly widened as his senses penetrated. Chong, the black heavy sword in his hand, fell quietly and chopped off a corner of the rock. The cut surface was extremely smooth, but what Jason was interested in was the few red glimmers that occasionally flashed through the dark red rock. These are several crystal fragments. Although they are not large, they are crystal clear and emit a charming red halo. Chong, 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 the black heavy sword in Jason's hand was waved repeatedly, chopping off several rocks around him. The inside of each rock was filled with these red crystals. There are only a few, but many are densely packed, almost covering the entire section. Blood abyss essence, Jason murmured to himself, looking at the dark red mountain peak that towered into the sky and was shrouded in clouds and mist with disbelief in his eyes. This huge mountain peak is actually made up of a large vein of blood abyss essence. Almost every rock contains a large amount of blood abyss essence. What kind of wealth is this? Even though Jason was well informed, he couldn't help but be shocked. Although this blood abyss essence has not been discovered yet, the blood abyss essence is not an ordinary ore like iron ore, it is a high-grade elixir material. What's going on with the blood abyss spiritual pond? Jason was confused and quickly flew towards the mountain peak. At this moment, he was on the dark red crystal mountain. Ha ha, ha ha ha. A figure was standing on a rock, laughing. This person was Cohen Hill, who wanted to kill Jason. As a 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, Cohen Hill, who had already been to Blood Abyss Mountain once, was naturally familiar with the road and was the first to arrive at Blood Abyss Mountain. At this moment, in front of Cornhill, there is a large area with dozens of small pools. These pools are not big, the largest is only more than 10 meters in diameter, and the small ones are only 1 or 2 meters. In these pools, some deep or shallow ones contain some dark red, blood-like liquid, and these liquids exude an extremely strong aura of spiritual power all the time. I am the first to come to this Blood Abyss spirit pond again. Hee hee, the exit of the secret realm will not be opened until a month later. I will practice in this spirit pond first, and when my body has absorbed it to the extreme, I will go waiting at the exit. That kid must go to the exit of the clearing if he wants to leave the secret realm of the spirit pool. I will secretly wait there. If that kid dares to show up, I will kill him. Cohen-shi with a sparkle in his eyes, I came up with a brilliant plan to deal with Jason. Without any hesitation, I jumped into the largest blood-red pool in the entire clearing, closed my eyes, and started practicing. A trace of extremely pure energy slowly seeped into Cohen Hill's body from the blood-red pool water, transforming Cohen Hill's body. Waves of extremely comfortable feelings came to Cohen Hill's face. He immediately showed a satisfied smile. However, before he could be happy for a few minutes, the pure energy that had penetrated into his body stopped transforming his body. What is going on? The smile on Cornhill's face suddenly solidified. He swam in the pool, constantly circulating the spiritual power in his body. However, the energy in the pool no longer entered his body at all. Plop! He jumped out of the largest spiritual pool, and then got into another pool. He could feel the powerful energy contained in this pool, but he still couldn't absorb any of it. Plop tom plop, he jumped into several pools one after another, but the result was still the same. Although the dark red liquid in the Blood Abyss spirit pool has a transformative effect on the human body, everything has a limit. 20 years ago, Cohen Hill, who had just been promoted to the 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master and became the patriarch of the Naton family, I came to this Blood Abyss spirit pond to wash my hair and cut my marrow. Now that 20 years have passed, he has always stayed at the lower level of the 7th level. Although he has reached the peak of the lower level of the 7th level, his physical strength has hardly increased at all. The second time he comes, naturally, there will not be much effect. It's a pity that he still doesn't know that it is extremely ridiculous to just occupy the only place in the family and hope to break through to the 7th level Intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master. At the foot of the mountain, Jason kept flying towards the mountain. Huh? Halfway up the mountain, Jason suddenly stopped. His spiritual consciousness felt that extremely powerful energy fluctuations suddenly radiated not far ahead. Whoosh! Jason quickly came to the place where the energy wave came out. He saw a crack several meters wide in the mountain in front, and the huge spiritual power wave emanated from that crack. Jason looked inside, and a flash of red light suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. With a hint of surprise on Jason's face, he rushed into the crack. This crack is not big, but after entering, it is narrow on the outside and wide on the inside, as if you are in a cave, and the red light is exactly a pure red crystal mine on the edge of the cave. Blood abyss essence veins, Jason murmured in his mouth. This red crystal ore was a huge blood abyss essence vein that spread all the way to the depths of the cave. Such a huge blood abyss essence vein. Jason's eyes suddenly lit up, and then he quickly swept towards the depths of the cave. If a mineral vein like jade is extremely large, there will generally be jade essence at its core. This jade essence is the core of the entire jade vein, and its value is extremely high. And this blood abyss essence vein, like the jade vein, also contains blood abyss essence. Like this blood abyss essence, it usually exists in the depths of the blood abyss essence veins. With such a large blood abyss essence vein discovered, there is definitely blood. The abyss essence exists, and Jason is naturally unwilling to give up. However, Jason was extremely careful when flying. His spiritual consciousness continued to spread forward, and he was ready to leave at any time if there was danger. While Jason was searching in the cave, on the other side of Blood Abyss Mountain, 4 figures came out of the forest. Among these 4 people, there are 2 teenagers in their 20s, a girl, and a middle-aged man, who are none other than Kiros and others from the Phil family in Chiur province. "Brother, we are finally here," the girl said excitedly. "Is this the Blood Abyss Mountain? It's really spectacular." The leading boy nodded and said, "Let's go, don't waste time." The 4 people immediately head towards the top of the mountain. This Blood Abyss Mountain is really strange. The entire mountain is actually dark red, and the Blood Abyss Spirit Pond is even more magical. "I don't know how it was formed," the girl exclaimed as she walked. Hey, not long after everyone left, the girl's eyes suddenly lit up, and she saw a crack several meters long on the mountain not far away, which emitted strong spiritual power fluctuations. The girl was about to step forward immediately, but was suddenly pulled back by the middle-aged man on the side. The girl looked at the middle-aged man in confusion. "Second Mississippi." The middle-aged man looked extremely serious. "You must not enter the cracks on the Blood Abyss Mountain. We came here this time to use the Blood Abyss Spirit Pool to change our physique. As for the rest, we must not move around at will. Especially this crack." "Why?" the girl asked in confusion. The middle-aged man's tone was extremely solemn. "This crack is extremely dangerous. Over the countless years since the discovery of the secret realm of the Spirit Pool, no one who has entered this crack has ever been able to come out alive. Thousands of years ago, it was said that an 8th-level Emperor spiritual master wanted to explore the secret of the secret realm of Ling Chi. I entered a crack and never came out. For countless years, I don't know how many people have died in this crack. It's hard to count. As the secret realm of Ling Chi, the controller of the Phil family naturally knows the secret realm of Ling Chi very well. All the 8th-level Emperor spiritual masters died inside? How is this possible?" The girl and others had extremely horrified expressions on their faces. An 8th-level Emperor spiritual master can definitely overturn rivers and seas, and move mountains and rivers. If an 8th-level Emperor spiritual master wants to completely destroy such a huge mountain, it will only be a matter of time before he actually dies in this crack. Among them, this made them feel unbelievable. "Nothing is impossible." The middle-aged man's tone contained a stern warning. "These cracks you see are mysterious and may disappear at any time." Just as the middle-aged man said these words, he kept looking at the cracks. However, the expressions of the girl and others in the crack instantly froze, revealing a light of incomparable horror. The cracks on the mountain in front of everyone suddenly seemed to come to life and closed quietly. The entire mountain was jagged with rocks and extremely natural, there is no trace at all. It was as if the crack had never appeared before, and it looked extremely terrifying in front of Jason. It's a strange jungle. What exactly is this place? Jason's heart was full of doubts. He was not unaware of the 7 extremely dangerous forbidden lands on the mainland, but he had never heard of the secret realm of the Spirit Pond and the Blood Abyss Mountain, even in later generations. Buzz, at this moment, the golden spirit bead that had been floating in Jason's mind, spinning slightly, suddenly trembled. At the same time, an inexplicable attraction came from the depths of the jungle. Jason frowned and walked slowly towards the depths of the jungle. Because spiritual consciousness cannot be dispersed, Jason can only observe his surroundings with his naked eyes. The entire mountain forest was eerily silent. Suddenly, Jason spotted a cyan phantom out of the corner of his eye. It shot out from a nearby tree and aimed directly at Jason like lightning. Not good, Jason was shocked in his heart, and the black épée in his hand slashed downwards. But the speed of the cyan phantom was so fast that it actually dodged the attack of the black épée and caught up with the black épée. Appeared in front of Jason before blocking it. Jason couldn't help being shocked. A spiritual shield instantly appeared on the surface of his body. At the same time, a spiritual power quickly entered the gravity pendant on his left hand. Buzz. An invisible gravity suddenly appeared around Jason's body. Gravity space, 100 times gravity. Whoosh, however, the speed of this cyan phantom did not slow down at all under the influence of gravity space, and it directly hit the spiritual shield released by Jason. Bow, it was like pebbles were thrown into the lake. The spiritual shield, composed of 4th-level advanced spiritual power on Jason's body, was instantly penetrated by a small hole, and collapsed. Jason shocked. The distance was too close, and Jason couldn't block it with his sword. He immediately turned his right hand and slapped him away. Snapped, the cyan phantom directly hit Jason's right hand, and then sank into Jason's body. Jason's right hand instantly felt a sharp pain. Not good, Jason's expression changed. Jason only felt a numbing feeling instantly penetrated his whole body, and that strange energy surged directly towards the soul of his mind. Go away, the soul power in Jason's mind surged, impacting like ripples. A powerful soul power suddenly spread out, directly colliding with that strange force. Pung! The forces collided together, and Jason's soul power directly dissipated. Although half of the strange energy was dissipated, the other half was still attacking the soul in Jason's mind. What is this? Jason was shocked. Get away! Jason suddenly shouted again from the bottom of his heart, and the mental ocean in his brain suddenly surged like a tsunami. Another powerful soul power flew out, impacting with the remaining strange energy. In a moment, the strange energy disappeared, and Jason's soul power was almost exhausted. After finally defeating that strange energy, Jason didn't hesitate at all and stepped back, wanting to exit the jungle and return to the Blood Abyss essence. Laugh. In the midst of this flash of lightning, another cyan phantom shot out from a big tree nearby and flew towards Jason's back. Not good, Jason was shocked in his heart. The cyan phantom had almost caused Jason a big loss before. If it comes again in a row, even Jason's soul at the peak of the holy level will not be able to bear it. But although he was surprised, this time Jason was not completely defenseless like last time. The black heavy sword in his hand slipped quietly. He was always vigilant, and finally used the heavy sword to block him in front of him when the cyan phantom hit him. The cyan phantom collided with the black épée and dissipated directly, turning into void energy and dissipating in the air. After such a pause, Jason finally exited the jungle and returned to on the edge of the Blood Abyss essence vein. It's really scary. Jason's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. Jason turned his hand over, and on his right hand there was a green bean-sized trace of blood slowly flowed out from the hole. Jason's spiritual power circulated in his body, slowly healing the injury on his right hand. But Jason finally knew that this cyan phantom looked like it is directly integrated into one's own body, but actually one still has to break open one's own body in order to attack one's own soul. However, this cyan phantom can instantly penetrate his own spiritual shield, and then instantly penetrate his body, which is imbued with the 7th level of peak strength of spiritual protection. This kind of offensive power is really too terrifying. Jason couldn't help but frown. Fortunately, the cyan phantom attacked his body earlier. If it had attacked his head and he failed to defend himself in time, Jason couldn't help but feel scared when he thought of this. It has powerful physical attack capabilities, and it can also act on people's souls. At the same time, the soul's attack intensity is so strong that even Jason, a person with 9th level peak soul power, almost failed to defend against it. This jungle looks very peaceful, but in fact it is full of dangers. Fortunately, it was Jason. If it had been any other spiritual master, even an 8th level imperial spiritual master would have been stunned and died after being attacked by this cyan phantom. On the blood-red blood abyss essence wall, Jason frowned, with a hint of worry in his eyes. "No, we have to leave here," Jason said secretly in his heart. Although it was safe to stay next to the blood abyss essence wall, as time passed, although there was some food in his space ring, it could not last long. And with Jason's character, he definitely doesn't want to just sit back and die. The inexplicable feeling that kept coming from the depths of the jungle also told Jason that there must be something deep in the jungle, and maybe there would be a chance to leave here. However, the extremely dangerous cyan phantom in the jungle is a huge threat to Jason. How to enter the jungle safely is what Jason needs to consider. No matter what, now that we have the blood abyss essence, we must first prepare the 5th level ultimate potion so that we can advance to the 5th level sect spirit master. Jason made up his mind. Bang! The black heavy sword in his hand struck heavily on the blood abyss essence veins behind him. A deep pit was immediately opened on the crystal clear blood-red blood abyss essence veins. At the same time, a large piece of blood, the Yuan Jing, instantly shattered and scattered all over the ground, rolling down at Jason's feet. Jason picked up a fist-sized piece of blood abyss essence from the ground. The ruby-like blood abyss essence emitted a misty red halo under the dim light in the valley, making it dazzling and radiant. This amber-like blood abyss essence is extremely crystal clear, without any impurities in the middle. The quality of this blood abyss essence taken directly from the blood abyss essence veins is infinitely higher than that found in the rocks outside. It cannot be ignored. Use reason. Such a pure piece of blood abyss essence is extremely rare and precious in later generations, but now Jason, who is guarding such a large piece of blood abyss essence, can almost get as much as he wants. After obtaining the blood abyss essence, Jason took out the remaining materials from the space ring. When Jason was in the territory of chaos, he collected all the materials needed to prepare the 5th level ultimate potion. The only thing missing was the blood abyss essence. Now, all the materials were finally gathered together. After making all the preparations, Jason took a deep breath, and then slowly exhaled it. After he exhaled the last breath, his eyes were clear. No matter what the environment, no matter what crisis he faces, as soon as he touches the bottle, Jason's heart will completely calm down and be filled with tranquility. His state of mind was extremely empty, and a large amount of data continued to flow through his mind, converging into processes. After standing there for a moment, Jason finally moved his hands. Chi-chi, there were bursts of piercing sounds in the air, and powerful spiritual power spurted out from Jason's hands, forming powerful cyclones. All the elixir materials on the ground flew into the air, and were continuously processed under Jason's phantom-like hands, while reacting in the preparation bottle. In this valley, Jason's spiritual consciousness could not spread out at all, so this time, Jason completely used the technical flow preparation method. Now that Jason's sexual strength has reached the peak of the 7th level, he is naturally familiar with the preparation of the 5th level extreme potion. However, Jason did not relax at all. Even when preparing a low-level elixir, he would be extremely serious and solemn. Jason's hands turned into phantoms at such a speed that it was almost impossible to detect. While he was preparing the auxiliary basic fluid, he refined the essence elements of the blood abyss essence. Several preparation bottles were flying in the sky, like the sun and the moon taking turns in the sky, and like dragons tumbling and swimming in the sky. Jason, who had used the technological spiritual medicine, was completely integrated with the world at this moment. In this field, he was the embodiment of the technological spiritual medicine. Throughout the ages, no one could rival him. As the preparation continues, various materials continue to merge with each other, and a powerful aura permeates the air, wanting to form a space of its own. A person who has reached the peak of the 7th level is just like an imperial spiritual master who is about to break through to the 8th level, which can be regarded as a small achievement. The number of prepared bottles became less and less, and finally, a green dragon rose into the sky from Jason's right hand, like a dragon rising out of the sea, with majestic momentum, traveling across the 9 heavens. And a red sun rises from Jason's left hand, just like the moment before dawn. The sky is full of red clouds, shining on the earth, bringing hope of life. The green dragon roars, the red sun hangs high, the dragon plays with the pearl, the green dragon looms in the clouds, and the blood basin is huge. Opening up, swallowing the mountains and rivers, swallowing the clouds and mists, he swallowed the red sun in one mouthful. Boom! The brilliance of the sky suddenly bloomed, like the Milky Way falling down from the sky, and a bright yellow crescent moon fell from the Milky Way. Down, like a god descending, it fell into Jason's stopped hands. The bright yellow light kept flashing and exhaling, giving people an extremely shocking feeling. This is a bottle of bright yellow spiritual elixir, which is dotted with stars and exudes a strong aura of spiritual power. It is the ultimate 5th level elixir. Jason didn't hesitate at all. As he waved his left hand, a large number of materials and utensils disappeared and returned to the space ring. Jason swallowed the bright yellow elixir in one gulp. Powerful spiritual power surged in his chest and abdomen, and Jason felt as if his body was on fire in an instant, with countless scorching air currents flowing through his limbs. Jason sat down cross-legged suddenly, his eyes closed tightly, and the 4th level advanced spiritual power, as powerful as a tsunami, suddenly roared in his body. As early as in the territory of chaos, the 4th level advanced spiritual power in Jason's body had reached its peak, and he had the strength to attack a 5th level sect spiritual master, but he had never succeeded. During these few months, Jason did not relax, practicing every moment, constantly tempering the 4th level advanced spiritual power in his body until it became impossible to condense it. However, no matter how much Jason practiced and condensed, Jason felt as if something was missing and could not achieve a successful breakthrough. However, at this moment, after taking the 5th level extreme potion, Jason felt that his whole body was full of power, and there was a feeling that could crush everything. Nothing in the world could stop him. At the same time, his body had reached the extreme level. The momentum climbed again. Boom! The 4th level high-level spiritual power surged like a tide and roared towards the entrance of the 5th level meridian. The barrier at the entrance of the 5th level meridian was like an unmoving mountain, firmly stuck there. Seems hard to shake. Boom! The 4th level advanced spiritual power combined with the 5th level ultimate potion, under Jason's control, packed with indomitable momentum, slammed into the mountain at the entrance of the 5th level meridian barrier. For a time, the sky collapsed and the earth shattered, and the mountains collapsed. With a loud rumbling sound, the barrier of the 5th level meridians was finally broken open, and a large amount of 4th level advanced spiritual power rolled into the 5th level meridians like a flood caused by the collapse of a dike. In the past few months, Jason had almost attempted to reach the level of a 5th level sect spiritual master no less than 10 times. Each time he failed in front of this barrier, he was just a little short of success, but he still failed to succeed. But this time, with the help of the 5th level ultimate potion, Jason finally broke through from a 4th level heavenly spiritual master to a 5th level sect spiritual master. An indescribable clear feeling floated in Jason's mind. At this moment, Jason felt as if a heavenly door opened above his head, and a bright light rose into the sky, illuminating his whole body. Jason's mind was extremely clear, and he clearly felt every change in his body. A large amount of 4th level high-level spiritual power rushed into the 5th level meridians and continued to circulate inside. As the spiritual power circulated, the spiritual power structure in Jason's body suddenly changed. The spiritual elements were rearranged one by one, transforming from the 4th level high-level spiritual power to the 5th level low-level spiritual power. If the spiritual elements in the 4th level spiritual power are loose individuals, constantly wandering, then the 5th level spiritual power, the spiritual elements in the force are combined with each other and become extremely solid and powerful. This is not just a quantitative change, but also a qualitative change. The spirit element particles are still the spirit element particles, but once their mutual structures change, it is as if they are carbon atoms but have changed from graphite to diamond, and their properties have changed qualitatively. So that's it. This is the 5th level of spiritual power. With such a stable structure, it's no wonder that it can form spiritual light in the air, condensing and not dissipating, Jason murmured to himself. After being promoted to the 5th level of sect spirit master, his mind became clear and the intensity of his spiritual awareness increased a lot. The structural transformation between the spiritual elements in his body was like under a microscope. Generally, it was clearly presented in Jason's mind, and he could observe it clearly. In the past, Jason only knew that the structure of 5th level spiritual power and spiritual elements would undergo a huge change, but he did not know how exactly it would change. However, now, this change has been clearly imprinted in Jason's mind, making him Jason realized a lot. While the spiritual power was changing, Jason's physical strength was also slowly increasing. A trace of the 5th level spiritual master's power slowly seeped into Jason's meridians, blood, bones, muscles, fascia, and internal organs, increasing the strength of his body. In the air, a large amount of spiritual power continued to pour into Jason's body. The concentration of spiritual elements in the secret realm of the spirit pool is 4 to 5 times that of the outside world, and the concentration of spiritual elements in the valley inside the Blood Abyss Mountain is twice that of the secret realm of the spirit pool. When Jason absorbed it, it formed huge spiritual energy mist, increased Jason's power. After an unknown amount of time, Jason, who had been absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy, finally stopped absorbing the spiritual energy. The originally restless spiritual energy fluctuations gradually subsided, and he sat cross-legged. Jason's eyes finally opened and he said, "I have finally been promoted to the 5th level of low-level sect spiritual master." A faint smile bloomed at the corner of his mouth, and his eyes showed great confidence. After advancing to the 5th level, Jason felt that everything around him had changed. Although his spiritual consciousness still could not be radiated, he could feel that his spiritual consciousness had greatly improved compared to the 4th level. Improvement. Moreover, his ability to sense the spiritual elements in the air has become much stronger than before after being promoted to the 5th level of sect spiritual master. In Stern Continent, where there is an extreme shortage of elixir masters, 4th level elixir masters can be called masters, just like when Jason was in Talon City, he was a 4th level intermediate elixir master. Both Bispham and Saha are called masters. In Talon City, they are the strongest among all elixirs, so they naturally have this status. But in fact, only those who have reached the 5th level of elixir master can be a master in the true sense, because the 5th level of spiritual consciousness will have a significant improvement compared to the 4th level. A 5th level elixir master, the word master explains everything. In terms of spiritual power intensity, the 5th level spiritual power, which has completely changed the structure of the spiritual elements, is much stronger than the 4th level spiritual power. This is an essential difference, even from a low-level spiritual power such as a 3rd level spiritual master. It is common for professionals to advance to the fourth level, such as mid-level professionals such as Heavenly Spirit Master. After feeling the strength of his spiritual consciousness and spiritual power, Jason felt the strength of his body. Originally, Jason's physical strength had reached the peak level of the 7th level, and he was only one step away from entering the 8th level of physical strength. Now that he has been promoted to the 5th level of low-level sect Spirit Master, Jason thinks about his physical strength. It should also reach the 8th level of low-level strength, but after such a perception, Jason showed a wry smile on his face. His physical strength has indeed improved. It is no longer at the peak level of the 7th level, but it has not reached the low level of the 8th level. Instead, it is between the peak level of the 7th level and the low level of the 8th level, or quasi-8th level. This result made Jason feel quite helpless. However, Jason also knew that as his sexual strength continued to increase, every time he advanced to a level in the future, although his sexual strength would increase, it would not be as obvious as before. From the 7th level onwards, the level of difficulty in all aspects will be the sum of all the previous levels. This is why the number of high-level spiritual masters on the mainland is so rare. Just like Cornhill, it took him 40 or 50 years to advance from the 1st level low-level spiritual disciple to the 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master. However, in the past 20 years, he has always been at the peak of the 7th level low-level spiritual master and has never crossed the level. Become a 7th level intermediate imperial spiritual master. His body's potential has been exhausted in the past few decades. If he wants to advance again, the difficulty is equivalent to advancing from a 1st level spiritual disciple to a 7th level imperial spiritual master. If the talent is not strong enough and the luck is not good enough, it will not be possible at all. Extremely difficult to cross. Of course, there will always be geniuses in this world. For them, the reason why laws exist is to be broken. Jason in his previous life was one of the best. After carefully sensing the strength of his body, Jason's thoughts returned to the jungle in front of him. Because he has been promoted to the 5th level of low-level sect spiritual master, Jason's ability to sense the surroundings is much stronger than before. In his sight, traces of energy airflow flashed between the trees in the jungle from time to time. It was the cyan phantoms that attacked Jason before. In Jason's sight, these cyan airflows are somewhat similar to the black airflows in Jintong Palace, except that as long as they come into contact with the black airflows in Jintong Palace, both bodies and souls will be wiped out in an instant, and although this cyan airflow is strong, but it only acts on the soul, and its power is not as powerful as the black airflow. However, even so, with Jason's quasi-8th level physical strength and the strength of a 5th level low-level sect spirit master, it is impossible to block the attacks of these cyan air currents. As long as he is attacked by more than 2 cyan air currents at the same time, even with this Jason's soul at the peak of the holy level may not be able to resist it. Jason's eyes fell on the black épée in his hand. Perhaps, I can use this black heavy sword to pass through the jungle. These cyan air currents are extremely offensive, but although they can penetrate Jason's spiritual shield and powerful gun, they are made of strange materials. The black heavy sword, but there is absolutely no way. As long as I can use this black heavy sword to intercept all the cyan airflow, those cyan airflows will not be able to cause harm to me at all. Jason murmured to himself. But then, his brows wrinkled again. Since acquiring this black épée, Jason has always used this black épée as a weapon, but he has never practiced swordsmanship, so he uses the black épée just to simply increase the power of his attacks. In terms of swordsmanship skills, Jason's attainments are extremely low. Those cyan air currents are extremely fast, and he may not be able to stop them all. If he is not careful, he may be in danger. This made Jason quite worried. But soon, Jason started laughing again. Is there anything else I can do? He laughed at himself and shook his head. Although this green airflow is dangerous, for me, it is also an opportunity to practice swordsmanship. Jason's eyes couldn't help but shine, and he walked towards the jungle. Hi! Before he could take 2 steps, a green light flashed on the top of a big tree not far away, and a sharp sound broke through the air. In an instant, a green air flow was like a lightning ship, and it came to him in an instant. Before. Go! Jason shouted softly, and there was a black light on the heavy sword in his hand, and he suddenly raised it. But the cyan air flow was too fast. Even though Jason was prepared, he couldn't block it in time. Not good. Jason's expression changed, and a circular spiritual shield was built outside his body. At the same time, the spiritual energy on the surface of his body vibrated, forming a barrier. Bang! The cyan air flow instantly hit Lu Sen's spiritual shield. In front of it, Jason's 5th-level spiritual shield was like paper. It shattered instantly and then submerged. On Jason's shoulder. Die! Jason shouted in his heart, and the soul power surged in his mind. The powerful soul power instantly collided with the strange energy, eliminating it invisible. However, Jason's soul power was also reduced. Jason retreated to the wall of blood abyss, sat down cross-legged and began to practice. Half an hour later, Jason's previously consumed soul power was replenished. I don't believe it. I won't be able to stop him in time. Jason's eyes were firm as he walked into the jungle again. Call out. Ha ha pa. After a moment, Jason stepped back with a pale face, and then sat down cross-legged. Half an hour later, come again. Jason stepped into the jungle again. Chi. Pa. Whoosh. 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 After a long while, Jason stepped back again. This time, although it took a little longer, Jason's expression changed, but it was much paler than the previous 2 times. There is a tiny hole on his left arm and left thigh. Almost Jason was still frightened. 3 cyan air streams had previously attacked him at the same time. Although one was blocked by him, 2 more entered his body. Under the simultaneous attack of 2 air currents, Jason was almost attacked by the strange energy to the soul of his mind. Although he was blocked by him in time, it still scared him into a cold sweat. But soon, Jason recovered from his shock, sat down cross-legged with an expressionless face, and started practicing. Next, as soon as his soul power was restored, Jason walked into the edge of the jungle and tried to intercept the cyan airflow with his black heavy sword. Once injured, he quickly retreated to the blood abyss essence wall to recuperate. Everything starts with basic training. Jason is very pragmatic. He carries this black épée in his hand at all times. He can perform various basic movements such as chopping, slashing, teasing, and stabbing. Jason always does it at once. After several experiments, each time I tried to make myself faster and intercept faster. Jason does not practice rigidly but practices thoughtfully. Based on his insights from every interception, he infers a correct path of cultivation. In the way of cultivation, you must not aim too high. No matter what time it is, Jason is always down to earth, returning when injured and entering when recovering, always vigilant in crises, repeating the same actions again and again. If an ordinary person were to come, because their nerves are always tense, I am afraid that person would have gone crazy long ago. They would rather be attacked to death by the cyan air flow than torture themselves like this every moment and be on tenterhooks. But for Jason, who had a strong will and was unable to cultivate spiritual power in his previous life, he was not afraid of hardship and loneliness, found his own way, and finally founded the technical spirit medicine. For him, such training can only be regarded as a test. In this way, time passed day by day. Jason did not have any impatience. He was completely immersed in practice. In this kind of practice, he even forgot the passage of time. He just felt his strength. Every improvement made every day made him feel joyful and moved from the bottom of his heart. The path of cultivation is long and tortuous. This road is difficult, but it is touching to continue to understand and gain in the process of progress. Jason's beard sprouted, his originally short hair gradually grew longer, and his eyes, that were occasionally sharp, became plain and natural. But at the moment when he draws his sword, his eyes will suddenly become extremely sharp and terrifying. Jason's character is constantly being refined. Here, no one can guide him in the practice of swordsmanship. He relies solely on his own experiments to continuously improve, become faster and stronger. He didn't feel bored at all, but felt a touch of long-lost touch in it. In his previous life, he was advancing alone on the path of technical and spiritual medicine, with no one to recognize him or guide him. Sometimes he would feel extremely lonely and his future would be dark, but he did not give up. And now on the road of swordsmanship training, he is constantly receiving baptisms just like in his previous life. He is like a diamond, which continues to grow while being polished, and will eventually bloom with dazzling, everlasting light. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, the month was about to pass, and when Jason continued to practice in the heart of the Blood Mountain on the open space in the mountain forest of the Spirit Pond's secret realm, there were many spiritual masters who entered the Spirit Pond's secret realm, all gathered together one after another. A huge green glow kept shining and swimming behind the clearing. It was similar to the entrance when the Lingqi secret realm was opened. It was the exit from the Lingqi secret realm. Seeing that only the last half of the 3-month period was left, everyone was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, they quietly crossed their legs at the edge of the open space and practiced silently. The secret realm of Lingqi opens every 10 years. 1 day of training here is worth 5 days of training outside. Although everyone is a genius from each major family, it is rare for them to come in once. Almost everyone here cannot come here twice. No one wants to waste time. But there are still some spiritual masters who have stayed here for 3 full months and don't care about the last little time left. Instead, they get together to communicate with each other. Have you heard that young Master Kiros of the Phil family has been soaked in the Blood Abyss spiritual pool for a full month? Not only was he promoted to the 6th level of the low level, he almost broke through to the 6th level of the advanced level. It's a young man whispered. Well, I've also heard that Master Kiros has attacked a 6th level senior spiritual master once, but he didn't succeed, but I heard that it was just a little bit short. According to my estimation, I'm afraid it won't take half a year. Master Kiros will be promoted to the 6th level senior spiritual master, a 23-year-old 6th level senior spiritual master. My God, is this too outrageous? Some people in the crowd exclaimed. This kind of strength is almost that of some of the strongest families in charge of a city, but Kiros is only 23 years old, which is enough to shock everyone. Master Kiros deserves to be the #1 master of the younger generation in our Chi'er province. Maybe in a few years, our Chi'er province will have another 1st-level imperial spiritual master. That's for sure. For Master Kiros, it is only a matter of time before he is promoted to the 7th level of Emperor Spiritual Master. Many people sounded envious, looking at Kiros, who was practicing silently not far away in the open space, but there was something in their eyes. Don't dare be disrespectful in the slightest. The Phil family, which owns the 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master Aludiba, is almost the local emperor of Chi'er province. And Kiros, as a direct descendant of the Phil family of Chi'er province, can be said to be extremely powerful in Chi'er province. Although he is just a young man, but the power in his hands is no lower than that of the family patriarchs who control a city. Although these young men are of the same age as Kiros on the surface, in terms of status, the two are simply incomparable. That's right, how is that Jace of the Mori family? Someone in the crowd spoke up again. Jace? The young man who escaped from Lord Cornhill seems like he didn't see anyone else. Jason was well known to everyone present because of the contest he had with Cornhill when he first entered the secret realm of the Spirit Pool, and in the Spirit Pool at the foot of Chiefing Mountain, Cornhill wanted to kill Jason, but was stopped by Aludiba, so many people also deliberately learned about Jason's background. When we were in Blood Abyss Mountain, we never saw his figure. Could it be that he died in the secret realm of Lingqi? Someone said suspiciously. That kid was able to escape from Lord Cornhill, so he couldn't die so easily, right? The young man in blue robes asked doubtfully. Hey. That's not necessarily the case, the man from before sneered. Didn't you see that Lord Cornhill hit the young man at the end? Maybe the young man had been seriously injured, and in this secret realm of the spirit pool, didn't you see there are many crises and there are countless powerful spiritual beasts? It is not easy to survive, that's right. There are only more than 70 people in the entire open space now, and now only the last half of the day is left. What's left? More than 20 of them probably died in this secret realm of the spirit pool. Someone laughed lightly, but there was a tone of gloating in his tone. Luo, if those guys had any self-awareness, they would have trained around this open space for 3 months. All around this open space are some low-level spiritual beasts. There is no way there is any threat. Who makes them so weak without strength? If you are greedy and want to enter the blood abyss spirit pool, your death will be in vain. Another brown-haired boy also sneered, with a hint of disdain in the corner of his mouth. Jace, you must come back alive. Not far away, Tanzanian was praying silently in the crowd. This time he also entered the blood abyss spirit pond and gained a lot of benefits. Although he and Jason only met by chance, deep down in his heart, he hoped that Jason could come out safely. Time passed little by little, and suddenly, the exit that was originally very calm and shimmering with cyan glow suddenly started to tremble. The exit is about to close. Let's go. Kiros stood up in the open space without wasting any time and said slowly, then walked into the green glow. Everyone present followed closely behind. One by one, they stepped into the green halo. Whoosh! At this moment, a golden light suddenly flew from the mountain forest. It's Lord Cornhill, someone in the crowd exclaimed. This Cornhill has never appeared again since he first entered the secret realm of the spiritual pool. Everyone thought that he had gone out, but they didn't expect that he had been hiding in the secret realm. In the mountains and forests. Ever since Cornhill discovered that he could not absorb the energy in the blood abyss spirit pool, he had been hiding around this open space before the exit was opened. Waiting for Jason to appear. Unexpectedly, he waited for a month, until even after the exit was closed, Jason didn't show up. In order to wait for Jason, Cornhill didn't even dare to immerse himself in practice, for fear that Jason would accidentally slip away. During the 3 months in this secret realm of the spirit pool, Cornhill received almost no benefit. This made him almost crazy. In a moment, more than 70 people present entered the exit. In the flash of light, everyone appeared at the foot of Lingqi Peak again. People from various families waiting there looked at the exit nervously, and once they found someone from their family, they couldn't help but cheer. As for the families who did not find out that their own family members had entered the secret realm of the spiritual pond, their faces showed worry and sadness. With the appearance of the last person, a huge wave of spiritual energy suddenly emitted from the call at the foot of Lingqi Peak Mountain. The green glow flashed, and the whole place returned to calm. The entrance to the secret realm of Lingqi has finally been closed, and it will be 10 years before it opens again. Of the 100 people who finally entered the Lingqi secret realm, 76 came out, and the remaining 24 stayed in the Lingqi secret realm forever. In the countless years found in the secret realm of Lingqi, there has never been a person who has not come out, and if he appears again in the future, the only outcome for those who stay inside is death. In the crowd, Cornhill looked at the disappearing exit with a hint of ferocity on his face. It seems that the boy really died in the secret realm of the spirit pool. I really took advantage of that boy. Cornhill showed a cold smile, but after the boy died, the Mori family still dared to kill me. People from the Natan family, I want to make it impossible for the Mori family to survive or die. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Outside the secret realm of Lingqi, a crisis facing the Mori family in Rainbow City is slowly approaching. In the 8th month of Jason being trapped in the heart of Blood Abyss Mountain. In the heart of Blood Abyss Mountain, Jason was in the jungle. As he advanced slowly, his eyes were calm and full of indifference. He was only wearing damaged linen trousers, his upper body was barefoot, his hair was messy and his beard was unruly, and he casually held a black épée in his hand. Walking step by step in this inaccessible place. Hi! A sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded, and the cyan light flashed like lightning and appeared in front of Jason, but there was no trace of panic on Jason's face. At the moment when the cyan light was about to hit Jason, a black light flashed suddenly, instantly smashing the cyan light into pieces, turning it into void energy and dissipating in the air. The black light was exactly the vision brought about by the high-speed flash of the black heavy sword in Jason's hand. Afterimage. Although Jason held the black épée very easily 8 months ago, it was still a little stiff when swinging it. But at this moment, the black épée was like a straw in Jason's hand, as light as a stick. I can't feel any weight. A heavy weight is as light as a heavy weight as if it is light, Jason muttered to himself. The épée has no edge, and the skill has no workmanship. The most basic thing in épée practice is strength and spiritual power combined with the use of the épée. In 8 months ago, when Jason used the black épée, he was unable to use his strength and spiritual power to a satisfactory level. Using an épée does not mean swinging the épée rigidly with strength. Instead, he tried to save every bit of power to make the épée faster, and at the same time, the strength and spiritual power combined with the épée were as perfect as possible. It took Jason more than 7 months to finally be able to use the black épée as long as his arm. Driven to the point of not wasting any strength or effort, use limited strength and spiritual power to maximize the power of the black épée. However, this is only the basis. Beyond this first level, the second level is a realm, which Jason just realized a few days ago. It's easy to say it's easy. In essence, it is a perfect control of spiritual power and strength. The weight of the épée is not just a weight, but becomes one of the momentum of the entire sword. During the swing, the weight of the épée will not become an obstacle to the swing, but it will be converted into some kind of power to speed up the épée. During these 8 months, Jason has been practicing every moment. When he can't block the cyan air flow, no matter how hard he tries, he will feel that he is facing a dead end and is isolated and helpless. But he has no hesitation. Here he is. With no one to support him, he could only rely on himself to strengthen his belief, keep moving forward, and finally mastered the épée. Life is like this sometimes, when you encounter difficulties. As long as you keep going and strengthen your beliefs, you will definitely see hope and move towards success. It's time to enter the depths of the jungle, the edge of the jungle, Jason murmured in his mouth. A sharp light suddenly burst out in his eyes, and he walked slowly towards the depths of the jungle. There, the faint feeling of calling became stronger and stronger, guiding him in the direction. There is silence in the jungle. Looking up, on the top of the high sky, there is the blood abyss essence exuding a faint blush. The sky is filled with red clouds. The whole jungle is green and comfortable, and the tranquility is intoxicating. This is the extraordinary scenery, like a world in a painting, shocks people's soul. However, no one knows that in this beautiful jungle, there are fatal crises hidden everywhere. In the jungle, Jason walked slowly and barefoot in this quiet and inaccessible place. His eyes were extremely indifferent, but his mind was always paying attention to everything around him, and the black épée in his hand was even more rhythmically moving like leaves in the wind. Inexplicable feelings continued to come from the depths of the jungle. As Jason continued to enter, the feeling became more and more intense. Chi. Suddenly, 2 cyan phantoms flew out from the ordinary leaves like lightning and came to Jason in an instant. Huh! Black light flashed, and the black heavy sword in Jason's hand suddenly came to life. In an instant, it was like a python moving out and stopping the 2 cyan phantoms. Pa. 2 subtle cracking sounds were heard, and the cyan phantom dissipated. Before Jason could relax his vigilance, another cyan phantom shot straight to the back of Jason's head from behind. In the flash of lightning, it was still in front of Jason. The black ape had already blocked the cyan phantom and smashed the cyan phantom to pieces. Jason kept walking forward with a calm expression, but his brows furrowed slightly. As he continued to go deeper, Jason found that there were more and more cyan air currents in the jungle. At first, there were only 1 or 2 air currents, but now, there are 3 appearing at the same time from time to time. Although Jason was confident about himself, he is very confident in his swordsmanship, but if 3 air currents attack from 3 different directions at the same time, Jason can't guarantee that he will have an accident, and the only result of an accident here is death. However, Jason's pace has not stopped at all. In the past 8 months, Jason has eaten all the food stored in his space ring. Even some elixir materials that can replenish human energy have been eaten. Jason prepared a magical elixir. Although compared to food, each bottle of elixir can keep Jason from eating for a long time, but in these 8 months, Jason also consumed 7788. If you still can't find a way out of here, Jason knew that even if he wasn't killed by these cyan air currents, he would die of hunger here. With firmness in his eyes, Jason kept walking forward. He could feel that we are not far from the center of the jungle. As we continue to advance, the spiritual elements in the jungle are getting thicker and thicker, reaching an extremely high concentration, almost evolving into substantial spiritual power, and extremely it is so pure that it requires almost no transformation and can be directly absorbed by the human body. However, Jason did not know that in an area not far in front of him, on the leaves of the big trees, green air currents were constantly flashing. Look, the amount of cyan airflow is enough to make Jason's scalp numb. Unfortunately, Jason, who was walking quietly in the jungle, didn't notice the existence of the cyan airflow at all. Huh? Suddenly, Jason's eyes stared at him. On an inconspicuous leaf facing the front, there was a cyan airflow quietly emerging. When Jason looked at it, the cyan airflow immediately melted and turned into cyan energy, completely integrated into the leaf and disappeared. Disappeared? Can it blend into the leaves? Jason couldn't help but be surprised. Jason turned around suddenly with suspicion, and looked carefully at the leaves of the surrounding trees like lightning. At this sight, Jason's face suddenly changed drastically. Just with this glance, Jason saw more than 10 colored air currents. Not good. Jason was shocked in his heart. He moved forward like lightning and flew forward at a very fast speed. What's going on with so many cyan air currents? Jason was thinking quickly in his mind as he was flying. How come there were only 2 or 3 cyan air currents appearing at the same time before, but now I suddenly found so many? Why is this cyan airflow hidden in the green leaves, and why is there no change in energy? Jason feels that the situation is very strange. But at this moment, he cannot think carefully. Although Jason is strong now and has great swordsmanship, but when nearly 10 green air currents attack him at the same time, he is not sure. I will definitely be able to stop them all. It should be almost done, though cyan air currents haven't launched an attack yet. Jason ran quickly, but he was thinking in his heart. Just when he was running away with all his strength, he suddenly said, "Chi. Chi. Chi." In an instant, dozens of cyan phantoms soared into the air, almost all of them coming from the side and rear. There were only a few 3 cyan phantoms coming from the front. The speed of the cyan phantom flying is extremely astonishing, just like a cyan light arrow, piercing the sky in an instant. There were so many cyan phantoms that they almost enveloped Jason's whole body, making it impossible to avoid them. Jason's expression suddenly changed. No. He roared in his heart, but his eyes were extremely cold, even with a hint of despair. With Jason's current swordsmanship skills, he can still block 4 or 5 cyan phantoms coming from different directions at the same time. Jason wants to stop all these dozen cyan phantoms, but there are no fish in the net. The PS is almost a fool's dream, a fantasy. For a moment, his brain seemed to have stopped functioning. He wanted to intercept it, but dense cyan phantoms enveloped his whole body at the same time, making him not know how to intercept it for a moment. In despair, Jason subconsciously waved the heavy sword with his right hand. A black light instantly enveloped Jason's body. Bang! 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 The sound of dense energy explosions and dissipation sounded, and all the cyan phantoms exploded instantly after contacting the circular black light shield on the surface of Jason's body. There was a burst of energy. The breeze blows and calm returns to the jungle again. Jason stood there in a daze, his eyes empty and his expression full of astonishment. What's going on? Jason muttered to himself, with disbelief. When the dozens of cyan phantoms appeared earlier, Jason didn't know how to intercept them. He just waved the heavy sword subconsciously. However, this subconscious wave made him fall into an extreme state at that moment. The subtle feeling of the speed of the épée in his hand actually intercepted dozens of cyan phantoms. Subconsciously, Jason murmured in his mouth, but his eyes became brighter and brighter. Whoosh! His whole body suddenly swept forward. Hi, laugh. Laugh. In the next area, nearly 10 cyan phantoms shot out again, seemingly entering the depths. As the energy in the air increased, the number of cyan airflows also increased. But this time, these cyan phantoms were seen, but Jason's eyes lit up. Without thinking at all, Jason swung the black épée in his hand lightly. Pa! Snapped. Snapped. Those 10 cyan phantoms were all easily intercepted by Jason. Jason, who had been very serious about intercepting 3 or 4 cyan phantoms before, was full of ease this time. He moved freely and relied on his body. Instinct reaction, drawing the sword without thinking, is the fastest. Jason's face was filled with ecstasy. For all the previous interceptions, he didn't think about how to swing the heavy sword at all, but just let his body's instincts proceed. Resistance, this is a conditioned reflex-like defense that is watertight without a single flaw. At this moment, Jason finally understood the strongest épée law. These cyan phantoms no longer pose any threat to Jason. Whoosh! Jason immediately started walking quickly in the jungle. His arrogant and bold move instantly triggered all the cyan air currents around him. The cyan air currents were aimed at Jason and flew towards him. However, he was strolling through the courtyard, and not a single cyan phantom could touch his body at all. He passed through thousands of flowers, and not a single leaf touched him. Facing these cyan phantoms, he took action at will, but the strange thing was that no matter if there were any, several cyan phantoms were intercepted by the black heavy sword in his hand. Half an hour later, Jason finally arrived at the center of the jungle. This is an open space with a radius of almost 100 meters. In the center of the open space, there is a pool of blood-red water with a diameter of only about 2 meters. And more than 10 meters above the pool, there is a deep red pool with a diameter of about half a meter. The rhombus crystal is suspended there, spinning quietly. Blood abyss essence. Jason's eyes widened when he saw this crimson rhombus crystal. Zhong exclaimed. He never expected that there would be this blood abyss essence in the depths of this strange jungle, which made it difficult for him to understand for a while. It's good that the blood abyss essence is located in the blood abyss essence, but it will never cause such a scene in this valley. And Jason also felt that the feeling that vaguely attracted him was not radiated by the blood abyss essence. This should be the blood abyss spirit pool that Loken and the others call it. Jason quickly came to the blood-red water, dipped a little with his hand, and carefully felt the composition of the water. This is a weird spiritual element component, which contains powerful vitality. If it enters the human body, if so, the physique of the spiritual master will be greatly improved. Tick-tock. There was a soft sound of water droplets. A drop of red water dropped from the quietly rotating blood abyss essence in the sky. The water in this pool was condensed from the blood abyss essence over countless years. Jason, without hesitation, he stepped into this small pool. The moment Jason stepped in, a sudden change occurred, and the golden spirit beads that were originally rotating slightly in Jason's mind suddenly started to spin crazily, and at the same time, wow! A blue bead the size of a tennis ball rushed out of the pool, and then entered Jason's body. In Jason's horrified eyes, the cyan ball gradually integrated into Jason's body. At the same time, the strange black power in Jason's body suddenly started to move. Sin control is blended with the blue ball. Boom! An inexplicable force rose up in Jason's body. This power is so huge. In an instant, it rushed into the sky of Jason's mind. A powerful energy instantly entered Jason's mind, and at the same time, the golden spirit bead above Jason's spiritual sea began to rotate crazily. Under the impact of this force, Jason was as simple as when he absorbed the golden spirit bead. He immediately passed out. In the blood-red pool, traces of extremely pure energy continued to penetrate into Jason's body, constantly transforming Jason's physique. At the same time, rays of cyan light were constantly flashing on his body. On the surface of Jason's body, streaks of cyan light formed mysterious spirit patterns, which appeared from time to time. Just like when he absorbed the golden spirit beads before, these spirit patterns were simple and complex, full of mystery, and gave people a sense of mystery. A feeling that contains the laws of the Great Road. However, it is different from the spiritual patterns that emerged when the golden spirit beads were used. And against the background of these cyan secret texts, Jason's body also faintly showed a kind of cyan color all over the body. The tiniest cells in Jason's body are constantly dividing, dying, shattering, and reorganizing. This is an extremely terrifying process. Jason's skin continues to age, then fall off, then grow again, and fall off again. Not only the skin, but also the muscles, fascia, and even bones are constantly being broken and reborn. Generally speaking, spiritual masters will only be cleansed and cut off when they are promoted to the 4th level of heavenly spiritual masters, and only when they are promoted to the 9th level of Holy Spirit masters, they will be reborn and transformed into the holy body. However, at this moment, Jason has gone through his 3rd cleansing process, once when he was promoted to the 1st level spiritual disciple, once when he was promoted to the 4th level heavenly spiritual master, and this is the 3rd time. A series of green secret texts flashed, Jason's body strength continued to increase. This was a true rebirth. All the internal organs were ringing, and the bones were broken inch by inch and then reorganized. On the 3rd day, Jason's body finally completed the transformation completely. As tender and smooth as mutton fat jade, his bones were as strong as a magic weapon, his flesh and blood were extremely tough, and the sword was unscathed. However, Jason did not wake up and continued to sleep in the blood-red pool, constantly absorbing everything in the pool. Contained energy. Time passes day by day. The spiritual power fluctuations in Jason's body are getting stronger and stronger. His momentum continues to increase. At the same time, the color in the pool slowly becomes lighter. 2 months later. A breath of turbid breath suddenly came out of Jason's mouth. Jason, who had been in a coma for 2 months, suddenly opened his eyes and sat up suddenly. There was a sound of water, and Jason's face was full of confusion. The light looking around blankly was surrounded by dense jungle. Above his head, the essence of the blood abyss was constantly rotating, and the water pool under him changed from the original blood-red color to the current transparency. Seeing the surrounding environment, Jason finally understood his situation. He felt that his body was full of power, and the spiritual power in the air gathered and condensed with every movement, and it had the tendency to form a spiritual light. At the same time, his spiritual consciousness is also extremely powerful. The suppressed spiritual consciousness in the valley has disappeared without knowing when. Jason can feel every move within a radius of several hundred meters. Chi. Jason stood up, waved his hand, and a ray of light quickly shot out from his hand. The powerful energy overflowed, splitting the big tree not far away and bursting into pieces, sending sawdust flying. This is I have actually advanced to the realm of the 5th level senior sect spiritual master. This is also, Jason muttered to himself. He felt that his body was full of power. The rich, liquid-like 5th level advanced sect spiritual power, the meridians throughout his body were constantly surging, extremely powerful. The effect of this blood abyss spiritual pool is too powerful, isn't it? Jason couldn't believe it. In fact, before he entered the blood abyss spiritual pool, Jason had already advanced to the 5th level intermediate level. Zone Spirit Master. The concentration of spiritual elements in the secret realm of the spirit pool is 4 to 5 times that of the outside world, and the concentration of spiritual elements in this valley is twice that of the secret realm of the spirit pool. Jason practiced here for 8 more times. It is understandable for you to be promoted to the 5th level intermediate sect spiritual master. But after being comatose, he was promoted from the 5th level intermediate to the 5th level advanced level, but it reminded Jason of the situation when he collected both golden spheres in the Divine Medicine Palace. By the way, that cyan ball. Jason thought of the cyan ball that suddenly emerged from the water pool after he entered it. His spiritual consciousness quickly sensed this perception toward the spiritual seat in his mind. He was immediately startled. In the gaseous mental power above his spiritual sea, a golden sphere was quietly suspended there. This golden sphere was obtained by Jason in the Temple of Divine Medicine had long existed, but what surprised Jason was on the other side of the golden ball another cyan ball appeared. The 2 national PS balls are suspended above Jason's spiritual sea, rotating slightly, forming a unique connection with each other. 2 kinds of filamentary energy, one gold and one green, continuously emitted from the rotating sphere and penetrated into every part of Jason's body. If this cyan ball is the same as the golden ball, then Jason couldn't help but have an idea in his mind, and then used his spiritual consciousness to control the golden ball. When his spiritual consciousness just came into contact with this, when the surface of the cyan ball buzzed, a huge wave of wood spiritual power suddenly passed out from Jason's body. In Jason's shocked perception, a golden limit spiritual ring with a cyan edge quickly passed from Jason's body. Maury's head popped up and then floated behind his head. The 5th level spiritual ring, as expected, Jason completely regarded the cyan ball and the golden ball as the same thing. Since this cyan ball is the same as the golden ball, what about its spiritual skills? Jason couldn't help but use his spiritual power to activate the cyan spirit ring. The cyan ball above Jason's spiritual seat suddenly accelerated its rotation, and countless powerful cyan spiritual powers surged out of the cyan ball and then entered Jason's body. Jason felt as if his body came to life in an instant, and an indescribable vitality was flowing through his body. He couldn't help but moan. This was a magical wood-type vitality. It was flowing through his body, and he felt that his body was full of vitality. If someone used a knife to hit him at this moment, Jason would even feel that his injuries would be healed instantly. This change also allowed him to focus on his physical strength. Jason's expression suddenly became dull. 8th level intermediate level. Unknowingly, Jason's body has advanced to the 8th level intermediate level of strength. This is undoubtedly great news for Jason. After taking the 5th level extreme potion to advance to the 5th level low-level sect spiritual master, Jason's physical strength failed to reach the 7th level peak to advance to the 8th level low level. This has always been a regret in Jason's heart. But now the 8th level intermediate level physical strength filled him with joy. This is not just a matter of simple physical defense. The physical strength of the 8th level intermediate level means that Jason at this moment fully possesses the strength to prepare the 8th level Emperor level elixir, which is equivalent to an 8th level intermediate elixir Emperor Master. What kind of strength is this? I am afraid that the chief elixir masters of the 4 major continental empires may not have such strength. But after being ecstatic, Jason returned to reality, and he discovered a very serious problem. Although his strength has completely improved, he is still trapped in the heart of the Blood Abyss Mountain and cannot find a way out. Jason's eyes fell on the slowly rotating Blood Abyss essence above his head. If this blood abyss essence is collected, then the weird blood abyss essence that can grow will lose its vitality and stop growing, right? At that time I will be able to rely on the heavy sword in this blood abyss essence. A gap was opened and removed. Jason couldn't help but guess. Generally, the blood abyss essence is the core of the entire blood abyss essence. Once dug out, the entire blood abyss essence will lose its vitality due to the loss of its backbone. Blue-purple lightning spurted out from behind Jason. Jason rose into the sky and came to the blood abyss essence with a diameter of about half a meter. His spiritual consciousness expanded, and with a thought, he instantly blasted the blood abyss spirit. The entire blood abyss essence was absorbed into the space ring. Boom! Just when Jason completely put the blood abyss essence into the space ring, the entire valley suddenly shook. The spiritual elements in the sky were instantly confused, and the entire blood abyss mountain suddenly rioted. Countless blood abyss essences collapsed from the sky and fell into the valley. Numerous gaps suddenly appeared on the blood abyss essence veins at the top of the valley, and at the same time a white light shot straight down from the top. This is coming out. Jason rose into the sky and flew into the gap. Countless blood abyss spirits collapsed. Jason's speed increased to the maximum in an instant. In the blink of an eye, it flew out of the blood abyss mountain from the gap. In the secret realm of the spirit pool, countless strange cyan lights were rioting. The glow was flowing over the entire secret realm of the spirit pool. From the mountains and forests, the frightened roars of countless spiritual beasts could be heard. Feeling the terrifying aura emanating from the entire spirit pool secret realm, Jason's expression suddenly changed. He could feel that the entire Lingqi secret realm was about to collapse. For him, who was trapped in the Lingqi secret realm, although it was a good thing and he was very likely to be able to get out, the radiance emitted when the Lingqi secret realm collapsed, the fierce spiritual power of the nose may kill him instantly. But Jason's heart is fearless. Come on! Jason's heart silently shouted. Chi'er Province, Rainbow City, Mori Family Mansion. N. As the winner of last year's Rainbow City Family Competition, the first family of Rainbow City, when Jason was here last year, the members of the Mori family have always been outstanding. Full of energy and vitality. However, now, an inexplicable and anxious atmosphere is constantly flowing in the family mansion, oppressing all members of the entire Mori family, making people almost suffocated. In the family meeting hall, Chief Kester and others of the Mori family were sitting in the hall with gloomy faces. Master Patriarch, we can't go on no matter what. Just yesterday, the family's convoy was attacked by a group of mysterious people. All the goods of the entire convoy worth millions of spiritual coins were lost. The family guard transporting the goods added. There were heavy casualties. If Yanlai had not been promoted from the 5th level senior spiritual master to the 6th level low-level spiritual master with the help of Master Locke not long ago, I am afraid that none of the family members in the convoy would have come back alive. Right now, Yanlai is still lying in the room, seriously injured. I'm afraid he will have to recuperate for at least a month or two. The family can't continue like this. Elder Marconi stood up from the seat below, expressing grief and anger in his mouth. In the hall, all the members of the Mori family lowered their heads inconspicuously and sighed. The leader of the Kester family also looked tired. It had only been a year, and he actually had a lot of white hair on his temples, much older. This year, the Mori family has faced an unprecedented crisis, leaving Kester overwhelmed and at a loss. In May last year, with the help of Jason, the Mori family won the Rainbow City Family Competition. There was singing and dancing in the Lee family. Everyone's face was filled with joyful smiles. After Jason went to the Lingqi secret realm, Kester and others were waiting for Jason's safe return. Unexpectedly, 3 months later, news came from the Lingqi secret realm that shocked Kester and others. Jason, who helped the Mori family win, was attacked by the 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master Cornhill, the patriarch of the Natan family, in the secret realm of the spiritual pool. He finally fled in panic and never came out of the secret realm of the spiritual pool. This news immediately stunned the entire Mori family, especially Loken, who cried bitterly and said that the master would be fine. The entire Mori family didn't know how to comfort him. For Loken, Jason, who had saved his life and cured his illness, was his spiritual support. However, things had just begun. Not long after the news came, the Mori family's motorcade was frequently attacked by some mysterious people. The opponent was powerful and had strange whereabouts. The Mori family tried their best but could not do anything to the other party. Many families in the province immediately cancelled their business cooperation with the Mori family. Since losing the family competition, the Loki family, which had been silent for a long time in Rainbow City, suddenly became strong again. I don't know where I got a lot of resources from and constantly suppressed all the Mori family's properties in Rainbow City. In the past 7 months, the Mori family's situation has gone from bad to worse. Not only have all kinds of external businesses been blocked, but also in Rainbow City, the Mori family was also suppressed by the Loki family. The other party's plan is very vicious. It is to cut off the Mori family's economy and slowly weaken the Mori family. In order to resist the opponent's trajectory, Kester had no choice but to send out a convoy and let the strong men in the family follow. However, the people sent by the other party were stronger. Every time, not only the convoy cargo was damaged, but also family members suffered heavy casualties. Kester and others are not fools, and naturally know the reason for all this, but facing such a powerful enemy, they are helpless. If it were not for Locke, the 5th-level senior elixir master, I am afraid that the entire Mori family would have been unable to do so. Support completely collapsed. However, the other party's weirdness was obviously successful. In Rainbow City, the Mori family, which was known as the first family last year, has now been suppressed by the Loki family. The Mori family, the power of the entire family has weakened significantly in the past year, even less than a quarter of its heyday. If this continues, I am afraid that within a year, the Mori family will completely decline and become a second-rate family. It is also impossible to continue to gain a foothold in Tianhong City. Lord Patriarch, just at this moment a servant suddenly walked in from outside the door of the meeting hall, holding a piece of letter in his hand. Master Patriarch, this is a letter sent by someone from the Loki family. The servant handed the letter over at Kester's signal. Under the curious eyes of everyone in the hall, Kester opened the letter. Come on, just take a look. Kester's face showed an extremely angry expression. It's too much to bully others, it's really too much to bully others. Kester's face turned red and he spoke angrily. Master Patriarch, what did the Loki family say in the letter? Someone asked from below. Then the Loki family requires our Mori family to either open Rainbow City again, or have a life-and-death fight with the Loki family on the competition stage 2 days later. The losing family must withdraw from Rainbow City. Kester gritted his teeth. Make a sound. This life-and-death duel, the Patriarch, cannot agree to it. Marconi and others' expressions suddenly changed, and they shouted loudly. Can't agree? Huh. A wry smile appeared on Kester's face, with sadness in his eyes. The Loki family has submitted a duel statement to the City Lord's palace. If we don't agree, we must withdraw from Rainbow City. How can the Mori family retreat without a fight? Everyone below was silent. If we retreat without a fight, where will the honor of the Mori family be placed? If word spreads, the family will be despised by the people of the entire province from now on. What's more, even if we withdraw, will our Mori family have a way to survive? Kester saw clearly that with the other party's methods, he would never just want the territory of Rainbow City, but the lives of everyone in their Mori family. The faces of everyone below also had a sad look on their faces. To be able to become important members of the family, these people are not idiots. Naturally, they know that their family has completely offended that big family since last year. The other party, there will be no way for them to survive at all. The Mori family cannot retreat and cannot retreat. Our Mori family has experienced several crises since its rise in Rainbow City 300 years ago. Our ancestors have never backed down. I, Kester, will never back down. The Loki family wants to fight with us. If we fight to the death, it will be as they wish. I, Kester, will lead my family and fight to the death. Kester's eyes are firm, not afraid of life and death. Fight to the death, never retreat, fight to the death. Everyone below roared angrily. This is the power inherited from a family. They know that there are many dangers ahead and that there are many dangers ahead, but they never flinch. Master Locke, Kester suddenly said to Locke, tomorrow, you and Loken will secretly leave the family and live in seclusion in a place where no one knows you. Loken, you should practice well with Master Locke. Master Jace is so powerful. His family must not be an unknown person. You can secretly inquire about Master Jace's family. If you find it, tell Mr. Jace, tell the other party the news of his death and seek their asylum. If you can't find it, then practice hard and wait until you are strong to come back and avenge us all. No, Father, Luo Kuan fiercely he stood up on the ground. His expression was extremely excited. I won't leave, I want to be with my family. I also believe that Master will never die, and he will definitely come back. Kester said angrily, Luo Kun, don't you even listen to your father? Loken, you are the only hope for our Mori family. Do you want all of us to die in peace? Only if our son is alive can we have hope. Since Jason cured Loken's condition last year, the progress of Loken, who has practiced diligently, has shocked Kester and others. Jason went to the secret realm of the spirit pool and has only been able to fight 10 times. Months of time, but in these 10 months, Luoquan was promoted from the original 4th level low-level heavenly spiritual master to the current 5th level low-level sect spiritual master. In less than a year, he was promoted to a full level. Kester and the others had never heard of such a powerful cultivation speed, not to mention having seen it before. Only now did Kester and the others understand what Master Jace had done to him after discovering Loken's body. What do you mean by congratulations? The speed of cultivation of the wood spirit body that Master Jace mentioned is too shocking, right? With Loken's cultivation speed, Kester and the others were full of confidence. 20 years later, Loken will definitely have the strength to come back and avenge himself. It's just that this year, Loken has not believed the news that Master Jace has passed away. This makes Kester quite helpless. Historically, spiritual masters who failed to come out after entering the secret realm of the spirit pool have never come out alive again. No, I won't leave. Luoquan took a step forward, gritted his teeth, and with unyielding eyes, retorted, I know that only by living can there be hope. But, nothing but. Kester suppressed his anger in his tone, you have strong wings, right? You didn't even listen to my words. Okay, very good. From now on, I, Kester, will pretend that I don't have you. Son, Father, Luoquan choked out. He didn't expect that his father, who had always loved him, would be so unfeeling. Don't call me father, Kester said with determination on his face. Okay. I'm tired too. Everyone, please leave. Kester turned around and walked out of the hall decisively. Who? He didn't see tears shining in his eyes the moment he turned around. In the silent meeting hall, noisy voices began to sound. Marconi and others glanced at Loken, who was standing in the hall, and they all sighed secretly and walked out of the hall. They all knew that the patriarch's kindness, be careful.